got from everyone, the friends that I've made here.
It is nothing like what I have imagined.
I was absolutely hopeless when we started the course, and the process that you go through is absolutely amazing.
I learned how to structure for my training, my workshops, what I'll be doing from now on.
Now, just to tell you, I was 14 years old and left school because I didn't want to speak in front of the class. I leave here today, overcoming that fear.
It's given me my confidence back. It's enabled me to get back up on stage.
You're going to become more powerful, clearer in your message, on point, and you're part of a tribe.
This is
And if you are considering coming along, do not hesitate. The transformation from day to day truly is incredible.
If you're looking, I highly recommend that you join Sam and the team for their boot camp.
Incredible.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
Amazing journey.
You've got to come, you've got to be here.
Try them, honestly.
What if I told you that there is a place where you can dream big, where you can learn how to be an influencer? You can collaborate with others. What if I told you that there is a group of you that's committed to make a positive impact? A group valued and under-recognized. What if I told you that you can join today, like right now? It's time to make a difference. It's time to shine. This is Speakers Tribe.
One thing that I want to acknowledge you about is investing in yourself and ultimately spending time in online education. If you can learn how you can influence more powerfully through video and learn how to create like your online virtual product and even make money online right now, then I'd love to help you through that journey.
It's been really supportive and really, really lovely. And everybody else, for all of your honesty and your courage for stepping up here and just giving all, because I've learned so much from every single one of you and it's just been really, really good.
I just wanted to say, being out of the work after little kids, and this is the first course I've ever done, and it was astounding. It blew my mind. It was beyond my expectations. And thank you, Kate, for the feedback today. That was brilliant, and it's given me the confidence to back myself, because I didn't have that before. Because you know, when you leave for a while and you come back, it's all a bit dodgy. So thank you,
Sam. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Absolutely awesome. I've learned a hell of a lot today, and I really feel like we're all improving. So thank you so much. It's been really awesome.
I wish everyone all the best on the course. I think it was a wonderful course. And Sam, you've created I also want to congratulate the people you've got working underneath you, because it wouldn't be that great if you didn't have all this wonderful resource. And I congratulate them for supporting you. It's excellent.
I'd actually just like to thank Sam and the team so much for everything you've done. But I would really like everybody else. I have learnt so much from all of you. It's just been so exhilarating. I'm so excited for each and every one of you because it's just the growth in such a short space of time has been phenomenal. So thank you all very, very much.
Well, I've been in the corporate world for close to 20 years, and I've been doing what everyone around me is doing, plodding along the rat race, climbing up the corporate ladder. Life's been good. I can't complain. But to be honest, I don't feel satisfied. When I ask myself this honest question, if I were to do the same thing for the next 20 years into retirement, would I be happy? The answer was a brutal no. I feel deep in my heart, I wanted to make a difference, but I just didn't know where to start. It gave me a sense of who I really want to be and what I really want to do. And I'm also very grateful for the proximity of great people and coaches around me who are so encouraging and positive. And it opened my eyes. I've never seen or thought was possible. Within 6 months, I've rubbed shoulders with famous authors and communication experts. It's unbelievable. You know, I've been to my MBA, but honestly, they did not teach me life skills like this. Life skills on how to communicate effectively with people, and most importantly, how to communicate with myself congruently from my heart. Through this, I've seen an increase in my professional fees, that mentoring and coaching people, which is very, very rewarding. Embarking on this journey can, because it does make me ask myself it was a safe environment, and I'm very glad I did it. I wish I did it earlier, but well, it's never too late.
Welcome to Speakers, Dan Conda of both Speakers Institute, Speakers here, Speakers TV, and my mission is to give you some of the best speakers. And so we've actually searched all around the world, finding out what are the latest trends, who are the latest influencers, and bringing them to you in this episode. So here on Tuesday, wherever you wanted to thank you for tuning in, and please lean in where you can, write down notes, because there's a reason why you've tuned in to today's episode here on this amazing Tuesday, wherever you are in the world, and certainly we believe that the best is yet. Okay, about this next speaker here. So our next speaker, I originally found out that she was the co-founder of one of the apps that I use every single day. I love my coffee, wherever I travel, and there's an app which is actually called Hey You, and it is actually the most used app in Australia for cafes and restaurants. So this next speaker here is one of the most profound entrepreneurs in Australia. Not only is she's all about the future, and obviously has created this phenomenal app and is a real tech junkie. So on top of that, her new endeavour is called Zambezi, which is now a training, or she will share with you a little bit more about what she does. It's on entrepreneur. Also had a column with the New York Times. And then on top of that, she is a mum of 2 years old. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Rebekah Campbell!
Intimidating to be up on the stage full of speakers. I'm not a speaker. So I just want to, first by asking who in this room is, or who business or project or an idea to make something happen. Okay, awesome. Sam has asked me to speak about the process of influence, how to be influential. So I'm just going to start by distinguishing what I mean by influence. So I separate different things. So leadership being my favourite definition of leadership. The ability is leadership dreams a reality in the minds of other people. So if you think about someone like Nelson Mandela or Martin Luther King, have a dream, they were able to bring that dream to life so that others could believe that that could happen. For important skill if you want to make something happen, but that's not what I'm going to speak about today. Today I'm going to speak about influence, which is really the process. So the process, it could be creating a business, creating creating a project, like how do you influence people in order to make something happen. And I'm going to look at how you start, how you bring people together, and then how you keep going. And as kind of earlier in the week, I looked back at my own career and I thought about, like, what have I really learned about influence? And I'm going to share some of the things that I've gotten right. But I thought I would start, before I get into my stories, just as the back story, so that some of the ideas make sense. So, in a town, I don't know if any of you recognise this town, it's a town in New Zealand called Wellington, it's the capital of New Zealand. I was always interested in business, so this is me, age 3, with my little cash register. I was always the kind of kid that was selling flowers on the side of the road or collecting golf balls and selling them to a shop, so I always had businesses. My most formative experience as a child, though, was when I was 19. I had, you have this huge holiday when you're at university, and I thought, what am I going to do with this 3 months? I wanted to do a project, and my town of Wellington had the highest youth suicide rate in the world, and so I thought I should run a concert to raise awareness of youth suicide and to raise awareness of all the support organisations that are available. So that was my summer project. I managed to convince Neil Finn from Crowded House to play. Back then it was huge. And a bunch of other big New Zealand bands. It was an incredibly hard thing to do. I don't want to understate how difficult it was. But in the end, it was a huge people. It was all broadcast. They started a conversation in New Zealand about this. Formative experience for me, because at the age of 19, I remember straight after that event, all of my energy and every resource I could have imagined to put together. I was sitting on a beach and I thought, wow, yeah. And I made it happen. I came to know myself as someone who could make things happen. And I thought, if I could do that, then what so that powerful experience to have at that young age. I moved to Australia a couple of years later, so I think I was around 21. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And I found a little band who were playing in a local pub in Sydney called George. I think it was about 50 people, and I asked if I could be their manager. Over the next 8 years, in my 20s, I built one of Australian management companies and launched the careers of George, of Matt Corby, of Evermore, of a bunch of fun. It was a really fun career at that stage of my life. Heading towards 30 and thinking, I just can't see myself watching bands for the rest of my life, so I need to find some other kind of career here. So I had an idea for an app, which Sam mentioned before, which became Hey You. It started as an app to recommend cafes and restaurants. It ended up becoming the largest mobile payments platform in Australia. So we're used by more than half of us. 25,000 transactions every day, including Sam's Coffee. And we've now raised around 17 million in venture capital. A year ago, when I was pregnant with my second baby, I had an idea for an education company, which is Zambezi. So throughout my music career and Hey You, I always wanted to learn. I always needed to learn new things. So I needed to learn digital marketing. I needed to learn user experience design. I needed to learn presentation skills. But I didn't want to go and learn from some kind of university professor. I needed to learn from someone who was actually doing it right now, preferably doing it at a high growth company. And so Zambezi is a platform that enables people from high growth companies like Canva or Facebook or Google to create and lead their own courses. At the moment, it's just one day, small group workshops. But yeah, you can go and learn leadership with the ex-CEO of Facebook or growth with the head of growth at Canva in a one-day workshop format. So I started that company just over a year ago. I think it was February last year. And I was by myself for the first 7 or 8 co-founder, and now we've created 44 Melbourne, Brisbane, and we represent about, I think, 47 or so experts. So that's Zambezi. So onto my lessons in influence. So as I kind of went back and tried to unpack, like, what does it take to be influential? Or what does it take to, like, say, I've got this idea, and then I'm actually going to make it happen. And I came up with these 7 elements. So I'm sure there were 7 that made the most sense for me. And I'm going to go through each of them. Some of them may seem obvious to you, and I question whether I should put them in because they might have been too obvious, but to me, and I kind of had to stumble upon them and kind of learn on my way. So first lesson came from the story I shared earlier about starting the concert. I put it out there that it was going to happen, and then I just put one foot in the front of the other, and eventually it happened. This is the journey starting the tech company. So starting in 2012, so this is like the emotional journey. So I put at the top, very happy, bottom, very sad. So I think when you come to something like this, or you read someone's bio, you get like an amazing introduction, like Sam just gave me. It sounds like it's been a straight line, but it's actually a squiggly line to recognise, because when you get into a trough, know that everybody has been into a trough like that. So in 2012, I didn't know how to build technology, so I had to company for Hey You. So that's before I started. I hired a big team of people, engineers, built the product, and worked. So a year later, we were very close to running out of money. I had to lay off a bunch of team members. It was a horrible, horrible moment. And how I got out of that later in this talk, but managed to keep going. A merger of 3 companies, raised some more money, including from Westpac. We then had some scaling challenges, gone from a startup team to a team of 50. Heather and I had very different ideas about how we should lead the team. we were burning, I think, $400,000 a month. And my co-founder left, and I was 7 months pregnant. So it was keep going. I launched and the head that I'm sure, but the less but when I and then I knew that company, but process and big. You know, a starting high school minister called David, who had to ask this job. This need to dead. So I didn't finish my time. But yeah, and I was missing. I couldn't be 6 months. There was a guy there that was speaking called Lars Rasmussen, who was the founder of Google Maps. And I just bowled up to him in the lunch break and said, "Hey, my name's Rebekah. I'm trying to build this app, and I'm really struggling with my engineering team. Would you give me some help?" And he really liked the idea. We had coffee. He interviewed my team. He ended up joining the board and investing in the business, helped me recruit somebody from Google. But yeah, the lesson there is just ask. There's no one that you actually can't get to if you want to get someone. Like for this business, I called up David Gonsi and managed to get a meeting, and he's given me some contacts. So it's like, I don't as a 12-year-old, I didn't have any contact, so there's nothing to stop you asking for things. So that were the first two elements were about getting started. Next, I want to talk about bringing people together and relationships. So this is how I felt for a large portion of the early stages in my career. I felt like I was doing this all by myself. And although I was good at inspiring people to start something, I actually wasn't great at working with people as a team over the long term. Now, I really couldn't figure out why people just wouldn't be more like me. And I remember thinking, like, I'm sure like a lot of people in the business think this, but I was like, I wish I could just clone myself. And then I would be able to figure out how to work in a team. And what I learned, which no one tells you when you're starting out, is that long-term, deep relationships and friendships are actually like one of the most important things that you need to make, to have an enjoyable experience in business, but also to get your project going and off the ground. So, an example I want to give is, this is my accountant here on the left, David, who I've now been with for 8 years. But prior to David, I probably went through 7 or 8 accountants. And what would happen would be, I'd get a new accountant because I was frustrated with the old one. And first of all, the new accountant would always look at all the stuff that the old accountant did and go, that was all terrible. And so I have to fix everything. But then 6 months in, that accountant would do something that maybe they'd make a mistake or they wouldn't get back to me quickly enough. And then I would start to get frustrated. Maybe I'd hang on, keep it trying to work for another 6 months. Eventually, I'd move accountants. But what I realized was, building these like no one is perfect, but actually putting loyalty and the relationship kind of above opportunity and above business will serve you much better at helping you to be able to get things done and be a much more enjoyable experience. So now I have these mentors and investors who have backed me over multiple businesses. I have a branding agency that I've used every single time I've started a business. And no one's perfect, but you just get so much more done if you have built deep relationships and you've built trust. So I love this quote, which is, there's something wrong with your character if opportunity controls your loyalty. Next one is around management. So again, about people. So when I thought of, I didn't go to business school, so I didn't really learn how to manage people. But this is probably a good representation of how I used to manage people. When I had my team of 50 at HeyU, even though we built a product that a lot of people love and Sam loves, the way that I would manage my senior leadership team was Monday morning, we would work through this like painfully long Google spreadsheet of tasks. And I would just get everybody to report to me on where they were up to, and then we would add new tasks. And it would last for kind of 2 or 3 hours. And everybody hated that meeting. No one was motivated. I just couldn't understand why things just weren't getting done and why people didn't seem kind of pumped to be creative and to get things done. And then I read about this concept, which is giving everyone an A, which I loved, and it completely transformed the way that I managed my team. And it came from a university professor in Boston. And what he did was, at the beginning of each semester, he told the class that they already had an A for that class. And all they had to do was the next day they had to bring in a letter dated the last day of semester saying what they had done over the semester in order to get the A. If they could provide that letter the next day, dated then they would automatically get an A for the semester. And what he found was the process of thinking through how you were going to get the A completely changed the behaviour of his students throughout the semester. And so I started trying to apply this theory to my management. And so what I would do was with new starters, I would get people to write me a letter dated 3 months at the end of their probation telling me what they had done to have a successful initial 3 months with the company. This is a letter that I wanted to show as an example. So my head of engineering at HeyU asked for 6 weeks to work remotely for 6 weeks because his girlfriend needed to go to Japan. So he was leading a team of around 10 engineers. So it's pretty disruptive to have the leader of the team go for 6 weeks to Japan. You don't need to read everything in the letter, but instead of me working through with him line by line of what he would need to do, I got him to write me a letter dated 6 weeks' time, telling me what he had done, telling me how the team had managed to overachieve their goals. And this process just was so empowering for him. And it also completely changed his behaviour, and it really changed my relationship with the team. So that one idea really transformed the way that I was able to manage. From being able to manage a small team of 2 or 3, enabled me to manage a team at scale, and particularly managing more senior people. So, tip, give everyone an A. So assume everybody has an A. Last one on managing people. This I'll go back to the trough, which I showed at the beginning of my talk. So 2013, I'd raised $1.5 million. I spent almost $1.5 million. I had a team, and I was about to need to start laying people off, and I couldn't figure out what to do. And I found myself, I was in New York, actually trying to raise money, and I found myself sitting in Central Park crying, just not knowing what I should do. And what was most stressful about that situation is I hadn't really told anyone. And I hadn't told anyone because I was really embarrassed. I didn't want the rest of the team to know because I thought they would be fearful about what was going to happen. And I was embarrassed that I'd stuffed up. And so I think coming back on the plane, I realised that the only way out of the situation was to flip holding on to all this information and to be this idea of radically transparent. And so I went back, I got everybody in a room, opened up the books, showed where we were at, talked about all the different, the different things that we could do. And what I found was the whole team came together, and that the team had become they knew something was wrong, and they had started looking for other jobs. They'd started coming in late. They'd been very kind of demotivated, but knowing what was happening and having the ability to contribute to us coming out of that gave everybody, created a sense of camaraderie, but also gave everybody a lot of confidence, because when you have a secret, people imagine that the secret is much worse than the reality. And then I tried doing this publicly. After I did that privately with my group, I started sharing publicly all of the challenges that I was facing every week. And I started keeping a blog, just a personal blog. And so every week there was some new lesson that we learned, some new thing that I'd stuffed up. And so I just wrote about it. And what I found was the same thing happened. I got the public and our customers came on board with the journey, and then all of a sudden people wanted to support us. So there was really, my blog got a massive amount of traffic. Eventually the New York Times noticed and asked me to turn it into a column for them. And I still keep that blog for them. I still keep it as a column in the AFR. So the lesson is be transparent and be vulnerable. And that, I like this, vulnerability is the birthplace of innovation, creativity, and change. And when I was able to be transparent with my team, gave us the ability to then create and innovate and bring people together. So keeping going. So this is what I might have looked like as I was sitting in Central Park crying. And I might have looked like probably also in 2016. when we were also again about to run out of money again and my co-founder left. This is not a lesson about what it feels like. This is a lesson about like what it was like for me when I was in those situations, what I did. So I found that I felt very deflated, I felt demotivated, I started needing a lot more sleep, and my energy levels dropped. I was doing things like I would go on to Seek and start thinking, oh, this doesn't work out, like maybe I can get one of these jobs or something. Just like to try and get my energy going again. And what I found was actually, like, you can't work like that. You'll never get out of a trough when you've got that kind of mindset. And that as a founder or as a business leader, your energy and your enthusiasm and your optimism, that will impact everyone around you, and it will also impacts yourself. So it's not just when you end up in those kind of big troughs. Every week there are moments when I question, like, is this really going to work? Should I be doing something else? You can't think like that. So you just have to kind of catch yourself and go, I need to keep my energy going, I need to keep my optimism up, I need to keep driving, because that will drive both me, but also everybody who's around me. The last point I want to make is around purpose, and this speaks a lot to what Rebekah was speaking about earlier. So this comes when you start thinking about if you want to build something really, really big. And I built something with Hey You that's quite big, and I'm super proud of the app. I'm super proud that it helps, people every day like Sam get their coffees and that people enjoy using it. I'm really proud of our team, but it's so hard to build something like this. And I had a moment in, I think it was 2016, where I flew down to Melbourne for the day, and I found myself presenting Hey You to the owners of one of the biggest pub groups in the country. And I was showing them the app, and I was saying, if you put this app into all the pubs, then people will buy more drinks because they can just sit there and they can order from their phone. They'll be able to order food. And it was like, I was really trying to muster all the energy and enthusiasm that I could for this. And then I went home that night, late, because I'd flown from Melbourne, put my head on the pillow, and I thought, was that really the most valuable use of my energy and talent that day? Like, could I have used whatever it was, November the 11th, 2016, could I have used that day in a way that had more purpose, in a way that was like more productive for what I actually want to achieve in the world? And I just didn't like the answer to that question. And so I realized at that point that I was going to need to move on from Hey You at some point. I had to find a way out, and I needed to start something else. And I think if you look at founders who have built really important businesses, they've built them, even businesses like Canva actually have been 10, 15-year journeys for the founders. So if you are going to create something and you want it to be big, recognize that it's going to take a really large chunk of your life, and find something that has a purpose that can keep you going for 5, 10 years. You don't want to get 5 years down the track, like I did, and think, is this really the best use of my time? So I feel like with Zambezi, helping the world do extraordinary work with access to really great people, like that's something I can imagine will keep me going for a really long time. So element 9 is purpose. So really think about, before you start something, think about, what is your core purpose? Is this something that's going to keep you going? So that's my 7 elements. I hope that's resonated with some of you. I also love you to check out Zambezi. So this is just some of the programs that we're running, and it's just zambezi.com. And I'll be around for the rest of the day if you'd like to chat as well.
Oh, come on! That was amazing! Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, tell us a little bit more about what Zambezi does. So are you guys just based in Sydney, or is it a national? Tell us a little bit more about Zambezi.
Great. So Zambezi is now Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, but we will be national. Yeah. So we enable experts to create and lead their own courses. So effectively what we want to be is a really curated Airbnb for education. So rather than going and learning like a university course in digital marketing, you can go and spend a day with the head of growth at Canva, or you can spend a day with the head of marketing at Koala Mattress, or people who are doing really awesome things. So yeah, it could be the co-founder of TEDx Sydney has got a course on personal branding. So there's now a bunch of courses like that, but eventually we want to be an Airbnb for the very best people to teach.
Wow, come on, that's amazing. And just before you go, I do like asking this question with everyone, but you know, look, you are a serial entrepreneur. You've got 2 kids under 5?
3.
Under 3. You have 2 kids under 3. You do all this. What do you do, Rebekah, for yourself to recharge your tanks, for you to operate at the level that you do?
Yeah, it's a very good question. So I think, what I used to do before I had kids, which I still do actually, is that exercise is really important to me. That's quite obvious. But I've always just gone at full throttle, I think. I've always felt like I've been at capacity, but then having kids makes you realise that, once you're at capacity and you try to pile on a child, you just like overflow. And so now I have 2 children. What I have done is I have gone, I can't run at capacity. I need to, and I've got these children, obviously they're the most important things now. So what I have had to do is just remove a lot. So instead of looking at how I can take time out, I've looked at what I can actually remove from my life. So I removed the news, for example. Yeah. So I realised how much time I had invested keeping up with the news. I'd worry during the day about people in the news and what was happening to them. And I thought, actually, in politics, what do I get out of this? What if I got out of all that investment? I removed all the junk from my house. I removed Facebook. So I then looked at all the things I could take out, and that has removed commuting. So I moved house, so I didn't have to commute. So just taking all of those things out, like spring cleaning my life, has given me a lot more space.
Absolutely brilliant. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Rebekah Campbell. Thank you. Get that book out now and show to the world how you are making a difference. Hi guys, my name is Sam Cawthorne and I'm a multiple times international best-selling author. I've written 7 books, both self-published and published numerous times by the #1 business publishing house in the world. There is no better time than right now to write your book, but you want to do it properly by getting the right advice from others who have been there and done it successfully. That is why I'm holding a masterclass with my good friend Alexi, who has assisted thousands in helping them get their book out easily and then gives them the tools in learning how to get that book into the hands of the right people. In this online masterclass, we will share with you how to write a book fast and easy in 3 easy steps. How to distribute the book so thousands buy it, how to create the right back end of the book to make thousands of dollars, and the blueprint that will get you lots of media so you are the recognized influencer in your industry. By clicking on the link below, you are claiming your seat into this online masterclass absolutely free. This is your chance to invest in your time in isolation and get your book out in the next 4 weeks. Register today.
One thing that I want to acknowledge you about is investing in yourself and ultimately spending time in online education. If you can learn how you can influence more powerfully through video, if you can learn how to create like your online virtual product and even make money online right now, then I'd love to help you through that journey as well.
To all the staff from Speakers Institute, you guys have been really supportive and really, really lovely and encouraging. But to everybody else, for all of your honesty and your courage for stepping up here and just giving all, because I've learned so much from every single one of you and it's just been really, really good.
I just wanted to say, being out of the workforce for 6 years, looking after little kids, and this is the first course I've ever done. And it was astounding. It blew my mind. It was beyond my expectations. And thank you, Kate, for the feedback today. That was brilliant. And it's given me the confidence to back myself, because I didn't have that before. Because, you know, when you leave for a while and you come back, it's all a bit dodgy. So thank you.
Sam, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That has been absolutely awesome. I've learned a hell of a lot today, and I really feel like we're all improving. So thank you so much. It's been really awesome.
I wish everyone all the best on the course. I think it was a wonderful course. And Sam, you've created an amazing business but I also want to congratulate the people you've got working underneath you, because it wouldn't be that great if you didn't have all this wonderful resource. And I congratulate them for supporting you. It's excellent.
I'd actually just like to thank Sam and the team so much for everything you've done, but I'd really like to thank everybody else. I have learnt so much from all of you. It's just been so exhilarating. I'm so excited for each and every one of you, because it's just the growth in such a short space of time has been phenomenal. So thank you all very, very much.
So I want to say, look, I've forever been doing courses and programs. I've probably spent over $350,000 in my life. This was worth every cent. I'm very, very impressed with the level of knowledge of the coaches. And they just kept offering gold nugget after gold nugget. Definitely was worth every minute as well. So thanks.
Hi guys, I just wanted to say my work relies on face-to-face workshops, speaking at conferences around the world. So investing in this course is really about looking to the future. So long-term, professionally put together course. So commendations all round to all of you.
Amazing experience that I've had in a lifetime.
The coaches were phenomenal.
And I've found the process that they follow and the material that they have presented us excellent.
Practical tips to really improve the performance.
It has shown me new ways to look at how I approach what I'm saying, how to say it, and how to engage the audience.
You know, it's just amazing the amount of information I've received from the coaches, the support that I've got from everyone, the friends that I've made here.
It is nothing like what I have imagined.
I was absolutely hopeless when we started the course, and the process that you go through is absolutely amazing.
I learned how to structure for my training, my workshops, what I'll be doing from now on.
Now, just to tell you, I was 14 years old and left school because I didn't want to speak in front of the class. I leave here today, overcoming that fear.
It's given me my confidence back. It's enabled me to get back up on stage.
And you're going to become more powerful, clearer in your message, on point, and you're going to feel like you're part of a tribe.
You can't miss it. This is a total investment in you and your future.
And if you are considering coming along, do not hesitate. The transformation from day to day truly is incredible.
If you're looking to get your message out, I highly recommend that you join Sam and the team for their boot camp.
Powerful, spectacular.
Incredible.
Awesome. Fantastic. Amazing journey.
You've got to come. You've got to be here.
Try them. Honestly, it'll change your life.
I've got 5 children and I had a very senior position. I was working pretty much, 12, 14-hour days, working for really big companies like Microsoft, MYOB, New South Wales government, federal government. It was pretty demanding. I was very much enjoying the stimulus of what I was doing, but I was finding more and more reward in helping people find their success. I'd done a bit of speaking here and there and I'd got okay feedback from it. I thought I was doing okay because presenting is a very big part of my work. But then I went and saw Sam and I thought there is another level here. I need to really learn about stagecraft and presence and engaging with the audience. I set myself the big, hairy, audacious goal of a TEDx talk. I thought it would take me years to achieve, but that's where I wanted to go. 3 months later, I was on the TEDx stage. I have 5 children, including twins. Doesn't come close to actually going out in front of 500 people and knowing that it was going to be beamed live around the world. Terrifying, challenging, thrilling.
This is the Celebrity Authority Show. Please welcome your host, Sam Cawthorne.
Yay! Super excited today. We have Tanya Manyan here in the studio. Tanya, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. Great to be here.
Tanya, you're a speaker, a coach specifically in the area of digital transformation, but without disruption, which is brilliant. What exactly, by the way, is digital transformation?
It really is, we live in a digital age, and it really is about applying digital technology into everyday business. So the way we operate and the way we add value to our customers.
And in a way, we need to push this transformation sooner rather than later, don't we?
Absolutely. Otherwise you'll be left behind and no longer relevant, both now and in the future.
Yeah, and that's for all leaders. But look, before we unpack exactly what that might look like, tell us a little bit more about your journey for you to now become this expert and thought leader in this space. What's your journey?
So I'm originally from South Africa and had the wonderful privilege of working with a number of blue chip companies, both there and then moved to Dubai and helped set up a startup bank. And then as well as worked in adult education, helping individuals go through their digital transformation. It was really interesting to see that no matter where they come from, the challenge was the same. And there was a real gap between the expectation of making the digital transformation versus really believing that they had the skills and abilities to do so. And so really they were self-sabotaging their own success and putting limitations on themselves.
And I suppose, are we seeing a lot more of that, not only in a personal sense, but also in a professional sense as well for businesses?
Absolutely. I think that digital transformation is really about a journey. There is no answer. It's such a big space.
And you never actually get there.
No, there's no one solution. And the problem is once you get there, it changes again.
Yeah.
And so what I've seen throughout my experience is I see people just throw big budgets to outsource the problem. Or they get caught up in trends and gadgets. And then they get caught up in the complexities of that. And they take forever to implement their change. And so really my philosophy is really helping organizations and individuals really just break down their complexity and really just coming back to the internal strengths and the abilities, leveraging that to do digital transformation.
And is transformation an ongoing thing as well? You don't just suddenly transform, tick that box, then move on to the next thing. You're always...
Absolutely. Always changing, always changing. What the world looks like today is going to be very different tomorrow. And really technology is just an enabler. And that's why I say I think we're getting so focused in the latest trends, latest gadgets, when really it's an enabler. And really everything comes down to people. And as marketers and as professionals in this industry, that's going to be a real challenge is how do you be smart to develop new and engaging and innovative concepts or assets that's going to always bring a customer back.
And where do you think the future is at the moment? You talk about without disruption, but in all reality, where can you see the future going, particularly in this digital transformation, revolution that we're seeing right now?
It's going to be an always-on approach.
Always on.
Always on approach. It's the world is moving at an incredibly fast pace. Customers are no longer willing to wait for opening hours or a staff member to be available. They want immediate access. And so really automation is the key thing to really the fundamentals of keeping a business running and being successful.
And for business owners, for managers, leaders out there right now that are watching this and listening to this to think, look, I actually do need to have a strategy in my digital transformation. What is there a simple formula, or is there something that you can actually just give us right now that will help us to reignite this conversation?
Absolutely. So having been in this industry for a good number of years, I've really come up with a simple 4-step process. Right. It really is number one is resource for change. So rather than just throwing up money and outsourcing it to agencies, look at how you can build up your resources internally. And then I look at outsourcing the time-consuming tasks.
That's great. That's really good. Resource change. Yep.
Absolutely. 2 is how do you deliver value? Leveraging your internal strengths. I think so much we get caught up on the gadgets and trends so for example social media or YouTube, and get caught up in having to use these channels or not necessarily feeling comfortable with it. And really there's knowledge and expertise within your own company and just using social media platforms and technology to deliver it rather than be the solution.
That's great.
And then 3rd is about how do you disrupt yourself. Currently work in the property services sector, strata management, so that's building management. And when I started in this industry, if I Googled any information, it's really about building compliance and building management. And my disruption in that space was, why don't I talk about apartment living? And those small ways is just about how do you disrupt yourself and create differentiation.
Brilliant.
And then the last step is about automation. Really comes back, and I know it's a big space and there's a lot of opportunities in that space, but really start small. What are the simple ways and simple processes that is in taking up your time from an administration and resource perspective that you can automate? And a very simple example of that is in the sales space, if you're sending out proposals, instead of now having, you know, and that's your focus, you need to obviously go out there, new business development, but instead you're getting caught up in the administration of it and going back and following up on leads. Look at an opportunity to just automate and send out a follow-up email. And just in those small changes, start making that change.
And look, that's really, really great advice, and I really love that. Hey, Tanya, obviously with all your travels and the influence now that you're carrying and really the voice of authority in this space, what do you do to recharge yourself, to stay focused, to stay relevant, to stay with the trends, etc.? How do you keep yourself alive and focused? What do you do to recharge?
Well, previously having been a journalist, I have a curious mind, and so I always love unique experiences and exploring new places. So I've travelled to almost 50 countries so far.
Wow!
And obviously there's more than 100 countries in this world, so I've got a long way to go.
Wow, so you just like travel 50 countries, that's quite extraordinary. Hey Tanya, thank you so much for joining us here on the show. Look, but however, just before you go, we do have this challenge that we do have all of our guests do. It is a 10 questions in 10-second challenge. So, do you accept the challenge?
Yes, I'll give it a go.
Alright, Tanya, your time starts now. Favourite colour?
Blue.
Favourite food?
Meat. I'm South Africa.
Anything that is meat. Favourite celebrity?
Trevor Noah.
Oh, yes. Favourite actor?
Meryl Streep.
She's amazing. Favourite professional speaker?
Gail Kelly, so the ex-CEO from Westpac.
Yeah, she's awesome. Favourite book?
Boundaries by Henry Cloud.
That's a great book. Favourite movie?
Sliding Doors.
Goldie, that's a goodie. Favourite city?
Buenos Aires.
Yeah. Favourite drink?
Gin and tonic.
Gin and tonic all the way. And favourite pizza topping?
Cheese.
Cheese. Anything that has lots of cheese. And Tanya, if you could be an animal, which animal would you be?
A cow.
Why a cow?
I envy their lifestyle.
That is brilliant. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Celebrity Authority Show.
But right now, I would like to introduce you to a gentleman who you've probably seen sitting down here in the corner for the whole weekend. And he and his wife have been responsible for those incredible posters outside. Aren't they amazing? Amazing. So I'm going to invite Tim Hammonds up onto the stage now, and I'm going to talk to him a little bit about his work. If everyone please welcome Tim. Tim and his beautiful wife Sunshine have come all the way from Singapore to be here. Now, I was talking to Tim before and I was asking him how would he describe the work that he does, because there wasn't any particular terminology that came to my mind. Quickly, he calls himself a visual facilitator. Isn't that cool? Yeah. Cool, super cool. And I said to Tim that to me it's like he uses the meaning of pictures and words to create meaning. And so Tim's going to tell us a little bit about his work. So, Tim, where did this idea come from, and what inspired you to get involved in this kind of work?
Thank you. So thank you for the opportunity to share this. What I enjoy most is working with groups to inspire them to use visuals and use pictures to help influence, to help see possibilities and change, see the future. So how this kind of started is I've been drawing all my life, using mind mapping. How many of you use a mind mapping? You've learned that, and our kids learned that. It's a great balance between kind of left brain structure and right brain creativity. So you're putting those two together. But the core part of that is listening and imagining, associating ideas to a word. And that's what your audience is doing all the time. You're sharing an idea, they're seeing a picture. You're sharing a story, they're forming a picture, and they're in their heart at the same time. So the picture, that if you offer them a picture up here that you draw, you're helping them to take that outside of the room, the learning and your story and the model. So I mean, that's what inspires me to do this work and share it in these kind of conferences with you all.
I think it's just, I encourage everyone to really take a photo of these posters outside, because what a beautiful way for us. Tim's actually pulled out the key meanings of everyone's talk that's been here this weekend. So to take that home and be able to look through that, I think it's really, really fabulous. So what's the future of your, where do you do your work? Where do you do your fabulous art?
We do it in conferences like this where people have come to learn, or we do it in corporate groups where they're trying to work through some difficult situation, complexity. Have you ever been in a room where you're trying to communicate a challenging idea or get groups to work through complex situations? So a picture helps them to see the future, helps them to connect the dots, helps them to engage more deeply, helps them to see where we've started and where we're going now, and then what's next in the future. You line those up as a gallery, as a story, as a metaphor. We're helping to support those with simple pictures.
And you were going to do a little bit of a demonstration for us to
thank you.
Give the audience a little bit of a takeaway. I asked him to try and convey something to us that we could actually take away and use for ourselves when we're doing our note-taking or mind mapping things for our future.
Thank you, Karen. So number one, my encouragement to you all is to bring a marker. So if you're doing a keynote, you think about how it might work best in the format, and thank you to Michael Grinder for coming up and demonstrating on stage. I had a bit of a spontaneous collaboration. I brought him over my nice markers. And he ended up saying, I love it. So bring some great tools with you, and just think about, is there a key model or a story or a message that you want the group to take away? You've heard of Simon Sinek's talk? Start with why. Do you remember the 3 stories that he told in that one of the most popular TED Talks? Do you remember? The Wright brothers? Can you remember? The stories are the Wright brothers, Martin Luther King, and Apple. But we don't remember those stories as much as the model that he drew. Is that right? He drew 3 concentric circles. He said start with why in the center. Great companies like Apple start with why, because that's what influences behavior. It drives a culture. So that model, so think about what's a key piece. So the context of drawing, simple shapes, you can do it. 9 out of 10 adults say, I can't, if you ask them, what's your confidence level in drawing, 9 out of 10 adults will say, my drawing sucks, right? So you can recognize that and say to the audience, look, I'm a speaker. However, I know that 2/3 of the room learn best through pictures and words. So I'm going to draw a picture for you. Is that okay? Because we want to be cutting edge and innovative. And of course, they're going to embrace that. So however simple is your picture, I encourage you to just do it, because you're creating a gift. Every drawing that you give is a gift to your audience, right? So simple thing here, just draw some simple images. And a lot of people ask me, how do we do this in terms of the drawing? It's not so much, I'll just share 2 things. One is make it visual, right? And number 2 is to go and draw. So the way that we do it is not so much the drawing, it's the listening. So here's a little model that I just call story listening. You hear the data, which is important, and that's what's on your slides. That's what's in everybody's book if you're at a conference. The data is important, but more importantly is the relationship, is how that impacts people. And that's where your stories come in. How does this technology that we're presenting, what does it mean? This app helps me to connect with my grandmother who's living in the USA, right? That's the story, the relationship. And then what's the bigger picture is why we're there, the context. So when I'm listening in these 3 sort of models. what's this person talking about and why is it important to this group of people? So my encouragement is both as a listener and as a learner to make some visual notes and to map out something. Okay? So one more piece here is to how do you support groups to see the future or to create a picture of the future? So we can start with where we are now. So the power is in having two pictures. Michael said to have two flip charts. One is in the current state, one is in the future. Here's the current state, and here's the future. It's where I'm going. So when you see two simple pictures like that, what happens in your mind? What are you doing?
Trying to join them together.
You go back and forth a little bit, don't you? You're going back and forth. What is this and what is this? Why is this one a solid line? Why is that a dotted line? And so on. And in that process, we're exploring and making our own meaning, our own understanding. What is the relevance of that? So our brains are a pattern. We love recognizing patterns. That's why when you're a kid and you're seeing the clouds, but you're seeing, what is that? Is that a dog? Now it's a truck. You're seeing shapes. When my wife and I, she likes to predict in the ending. Do that, right? It's you're thinking in patterns. You're seeing a step ahead, and our brains love that. That's why in stories. So you're supporting a group to see patterns, and you're supporting them to make meaning using simple pictures. Something going. Down here is the past and the future, so there's some natural, intuitive references to time, to progress, and helping you to see the future. So those are a couple of simple tools.
Fantastic. Wasn't that helpful?
Yeah.
Tim, thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I encourage all of you to make sure you go and have a really good look at his work outside.
Yeah. And bring a pen with
yeah.
you to your presentations.
And it doesn't matter if you can only do stick figures, it'll still work.
It's good enough.
Yeah. Great. Thank you so much, Tim.
Hey guys, Sam Cawthorn here, CEO and founder of Speakers Tribe, and in this curriculum video, it is all about performance. You know, every single month we release one of these new curriculum videos, and if you haven't seen our previous months, my encouragement to you would be to go onto the website speakerstribe.com, and on there you can see a whole heap of other videos. So this video here will go for less than 10 minutes, and we're going to be specifically unpacking what performance means as a speaker. You know, I started professionally speaking close to 12 years ago, and one thing I realized very soon is that our content doesn't really matter as much as our methodology. And this is the first thing that we're going to be uncovering in today's curriculum video all on performance, realizing how can you get to that methodology mindset in the fastest possible way. The second thing we're going to be talking about is control. How can you control your nerves? How can you make sure that you get up on stage and you've got that suave, you've got that charisma that to make it look like that you are performing this content. And then the third thing that we're going to be unpacking is seamless. How can you ensure that whenever you do get into those high pressure situations, whether it's doing a pitch or a presentation, it looks absolutely seamless, that you have everything under control, that you are mastering your methodology, and everything also is seamless as well. Let's first of all have a look at the difference between content and methodology. Now, I constantly reiterate this quite a bit, but the reality is that there are people out there that probably have better content than you. There are people out there that certainly have better content than me. But one thing that I've found all throughout my journey, that it is not about the content itself. It's more about how we deliver that content in a really powerful way and perform it in a way, yeah? Which is obviously what this curriculum video is all about. So when you have mastered that content, when you know exactly what that content is, then it is about the charisma of delivering that content. How can you perform that content in a way that keeps people at the edge of their seat? You know, in a certain way, you're actually acting that content out. Yet at the same time, I want it to come across as authentic as possible. So yes, in a way, we've got a bit of a pull and struggle here, because in one breath we're saying, deliver that content really authentically, but in the other breath we're saying, perform it in a really powerful way. But you know something, guys, that's exactly the truth is what we're trying to say here, is that when you know your content really well, then you can then start speaking directly from your heart and being really authentic and transparent through delivering of that. Yet at the same time, you want to deliver that in a really entertaining way and performing that in a way that keeps people excited and on the edge of their seat. So sometimes, yes, that does require a little bit of crazy eyes. It requires more Red Bull energy, but also sometimes it requires you to rein it in as well. So there are times where you want to be high energy. There are times also where you want to also rein that in and get that really deep and meaningful. But when you can manage your energy timeline really well, you can then really uncover exactly what we mean by not necessarily your content, what you say, but your methodology, how you say it. That's the first element. Second element is this, is all about control. Now, Mark Twain said this: every single speaker gets nervous on stage, or they are a liar. And one thing I love about this is that, yes, we actually do get nervous on stage. I still get nervous on stage, even though I've been speaking in 36 countries. I've shared my story over 5,000 times in various events all throughout the world. I've done regularly over 10,000 people in audiences. But the reality is I still get nervous. But I don't get nervous because I'm insecure and I'm worried about what you think of me. But I get nervous because I care. I really care for my audience. I really want to make sure that I do add value and serve them in the best possible way. Yet at the same time, through those nerves and sometimes through the uncertainty of thinking that I'm either not good enough or I'm not worthy, I need to make sure that I do show to my audience that I'm in control. It is really important for you to literally show, particularly when you are delivering new content, or even if you're feeling a lot of pressure on this big stage, you need to make sure that you are showing to your audience that you are in control. We in general, as audiences, we don't really want to feel sorry for the speaker up in front, and also we don't really want to see this speaker as coming across uncertain. And right now in the world, we are seeing more unprecedented uncertainty than any other time in history. And one of the main reasons is because over the last 10 years, we've seen all this change. And we've seen more constant change than any other time in history. And through this change, it's now seen that the market is becoming really uncertain. And what they're looking for us as thought leaders, experts and speakers, they're looking for certainty. So we need to make sure that we do come across and we're performing our content with absolute certainty. Even if we only learnt it 2 minutes ago, even if we only learned it last week, or if we're reading a book and now we're delivering that, we still need to make sure that we're coming across with absolute certainty, that we are always in control of every word that we are saying. We're in control, we're not putting in filler words. We're not saying words like or maybe or sort of or should. We're not saying filler words like and or whatever it might be. That we do come across with absolute certainty that we are in control of our gestures, of our language, of our facial expressions, and that way then we can perform this content in a more powerful way. So that's the second element, which is all around control. The third area here is all around being seamless. You know, one thing I absolutely love is when I see an outstanding professional speaker and they're using technology and they're using visuals and they're using sound, etc., and everything looks seamless. It's amazing. Sometimes you don't even see them click their clicker, and they certainly don't look around and see what's on the slides behind them. everything is absolute seamless. Not only have they mastered their methodology, not only have they clearly mastered their control, but it all looks beautifully seamless. So there's a few things I wanted to share with you around being seamless. Let's unpack this. So the first element is this: always up. And that's all about always being positive, even when things don't go according to plan. You know, technology never goes according to plan. Even your slides or whatever it is, it never necessarily goes according to plan. But you need to make sure that you're always thinking positive. So if something doesn't go according to plan, it's not about getting really frustrated and showcasing the audience that you're frustrated. It's about just simply saying, hey guys, as you can see, AV doesn't go according to plan, but I'm sure our AV team right now are onto it, and we're going to get that fixed. So you want to make sure it comes across as if you're still in control. You're in control of your emotions, and even when things don't go according to plan, you are still in control. So really being seamless and thinking always up. The other area of always up as well and being positive is that if you look up, you can actually access easier your memory rather than looking down when we get frustrated. So when we get frustrated, we automatically look down. Whereas when we look down, research will tell us that we can't necessarily access our thinking in a fast, quick and effective way. Whereas when we look up, we can actually access that thought really faster. We can remember our words. Thus also we're thinking more positively. Thus also we're showcasing that we are in control. So the first one is this: always up. The second one is this: smirk. Yes, you heard me right, smirk. And what we mean by smirk is that when you want to come across really seamless, in control, mastered your methodology and really performing that message in a really powerful way, you want to make sure that it doesn't look like you're worried or concerned, doesn't look like you're too serious, doesn't look like you're too happy. But that smirk there's a level of charisma when you do a nice little cheeky smirk. So how can you smirk more when you're on stage? You can showcase your likability, you can showcase you're in control, you can showcase a little bit of real solidarity that I'm confident, competent and charismatic when I'm delivering this message. So the second one is this, is more of how you look, smirk more, yeah? Now your third one is this: pause and freeze. Pause and freeze. And what we mean by that is when you are performing your communication, when you're performing your presentation or your pitch or whatever you are communicating, you want to make sure that yes, you come across absolute in control, that you are absolute seamless, but you want to also pause when necessarily. You know, you guys have constantly heard me say, embrace that uncomfortable silence. And it is so true as well. So my encouragement to you is whenever you pause, freeze the gesture. And then when you continue to talk again, then you can move your gestures. And then as you pause again, freeze the gesture. And then you continue on. When you pause and freeze more, it will showcase that you are both performing, but also you're very seamless in what you do. So guys, this curriculum is all specifically about how you guys can perform better when you get into those situations, whether it's on the camera, whether it's on stage, whether it's in a pitch in a boardroom. You want to make sure that you can perform that content. And again, those three ways of performance. The first one is content versus methodology. The second one is control. And then the third one is seamless. So guys, don't forget also to make sure that you do put into your diaries the next Speakers Tribe event there in your local city. And we're really looking forward to keeping you on this journey of growth towards where you are today to where you really want to be. I'm Sam Cawthorne, CEO and founder of Speakers Tribe. To your success, have an awesome day.
I came to Speakers Institute this weekend to learn about my message to the world so I can have my voice out. After the 3 days weekend boot camp, I really got my vision clear and what my message for the world is.
I never show my weakness. in my life. I need to be in control. I need to be strong. I want to be successful, to feel safe in this world.
It's just so beautiful to see that embodiment of your message up here on the stage. And your message, I think, is not only important for women, but for men as well, to be able to reconcile both those energies.
I highly recommend Speakers Institute to everyone who wants to find their purpose in life and get their message out to the world.
Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in for today's episode here at Speakers TV. My name is Sam Cawthorne and we are super excited about Speakers TV and about these episodes that we bring to you every single weekday as well as also on every single Saturday. Guys, we'd love to hear from you. If you've got any feedback at all for us, or maybe you want to comment right now in the chat bar about what was your biggest takeaway from today's session. But also not only that, why don't you join us? So here at Speakers Institute, we do have a number of programs such as our online boot camps or our protege program. At Speakers Tribe here, we're all about running these big, large annual conferences every year, but also an annual membership that you can get. We're in your city. We do have tribe gatherings, all really encouraging you going from where you are today to where you really want to be. Or maybe you want to tell your friends and your family about Speakers TV. But can I please encourage you this page? Why don't you join us each day? Why don't you tell other people about these episodes, because we are all about really helping you on this journey to becoming that recognized voice of authority, for you to find your message and your story and get that out there into the world. We are super excited about your journey, so please lean in and join us today. To your success, my name is Sam Cawthorne, and don't forget, the best is yet to come.